Ready to learn how to use a light meter on location? Let's get to it. What's up everyone, I'm Sal Sincata. Today we are on location learning how to use our trusty, dirty four-letter word, light meter. It's not even a four-letter word, I don't know why I said it, but everybody acts like when they hear a light meter, panic is struck, fear is struck into them. But just do me a favor, don't wear it like this. It's just the nerd factor is too much, so don't do that. All right, so let's get serious. What am I using? I'm using the Seconic Lightmaster Pro L478DU. Super easy to say, right? They couldn't be like Light Meter 1000. No, I'm gonna get involved with the naming of the future products. All right, so we're gonna do two things today. We are gonna show you how to use it with ambient light, so that's the available light that's here, and then how do you switch over to use it when you're trying to use a flash outdoor on location. Now, I've created a video using flash and a light meter for high-speed sync, but now we're just gonna use it in a normal environment two different ways, all right? So I'll put a link down below for the other video for you to watch. So, a couple of things. First thing we're gonna do is we are gonna use our camera in manual mode, which on a day like today where it's a cloudy, overcast day, it's a little bit easier than when the sun is coming in and out. And I'm also known for shooting in aperture priority because all I really care about is my f-stop from a creative perspective. I'm not shooting sports or in a controlled environment like in our studio, so I'm not really worried about all that where I'd wanna be in manual mode, right? I know the lighting's gonna fluctuate. Typically, I'll be in aperture priority. But for those of you that wanna be in manual mode all the time, this is a great way to do that. So what I'm gonna do on my light meters, I'm gonna set my shutter speed to 1/100th of a second, ISO 100, because I want the f-stop. Now you can pick on these light meters, whether you're looking for your shutter speed, whether you want your aperture, whichever one you want to preset in the exposure triangle, okay? So I'm just gonna set my shutter speed to 1/100th, I'm doing portraits, okay? And I'm gonna set my ISO to 1/100th as well. That being said, actually, as I'm doing this, I'm gonna change it because I can already hear the comments like, you're shooting at 1/100th, it's gonna be blurry. No, it's not gonna be blurry, but for you at home, we're gonna go to 200th of a second shutter and ISO 100. So what is the f-stop? Okay, so my f-stop right now is 4.5. So I know right now, doing nothing different, right? Assuming the light is not going to change drastically here, I can set up my camera, ISO 100, shutter speed 1/200th of a second, f4.5, and I'm off to the races. I can start working. So next one we're gonna do is with flash. So let's knock out the ambient light one first. Give me on that toe. Yep, I like that. Good, good. You'll work with me in that way, all right? Exposure looks good, I like it. Now I'm just gonna work through this. Tight, middle, wide. Eye contact, looking away. Love that, Violet, beautiful. That right arm is too flat for me. Bend a little. Yeah, there we go. Chin down. Gorgeous, Violet. Gorgeous. I love that. All right. All right, so these pictures are great, right? They're very flat, lifeless, in my opinion. I know it might be hard to see on camera, but it's an overcast day. You know, maybe if we had some directional light from sunlight coming in or just something hitting the building. But right now, the same light hitting her is the same light hitting that background. And again, it's just flat and boring. So how do we jazz that up? This to me is a perfect way to bring flash into the environment. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the FJ400 and we've got the trigger here. So before I even get into any of this, right? Don't get overwhelmed by adding light to your scene. Here's what we know, right? It's f4.5. So we already know ambient light is f4.5. It's 4.5 hitting her in the face, it's 4.5 hitting that building. So from a lighting perspective, what am I looking to accomplish here? I want her to pop off that background. Your eye will always go to the brightest part of an image. So I'm going to make her brighter than the background. How do I do that? I've got to hit her with light brighter than 4.5, right? So wrap your head around what I'm saying. I'm probably gonna try and hit her with light, maybe let's go one stop more, right? So it'd be 4.0 to 5.6 would be a full stop. So let's just say we're gonna do 5.6, so maybe it's a half a stop. I'm thinking through this. I'm gonna go to f8, so stop and a half. So we're gonna do f8 light hitting her, and we'll see how it looks, and then the ambient hitting the background is 4.5. So that background will be darker right out of the gate. So how do we do that? So now we're gonna change the flash over. So we're gonna turn on our Lightmaster Pro L478D-U. We gotta work on the names. And we're gonna change this over into flash, right? So we hit that little lightning bolt. So we're gonna ISO 100, shutter speed of 1/200th of a second, okay? And that's most of your camera settings are gonna be at 200th of a second. That's the sync speed. Now I need that f-stop. I know I need it to be at f8, okay? So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna turn this on, and I'll show you how to meter this. And I'm gonna probably start this at a power of 5. I know nothing, okay? This is where I'm starting, and then I'll go up or down from there. Also, just from experience, I typically am gonna have this light 6 to 10 feet away from Violet. So Violet, let's get you into some sort of pose. I like the one where you were here looking this way, right? And I'm gonna hit her with this light directionally because I don't want it to splash all over the wall. So Brandy, you're gonna hold for me. And let me show you what I'm saying, right? Your assistants have to learn this. I want her to be 6 to 10 feet away. A full stride is usually about 3 feet, right? So 3, 6, take 3 steps, she's 9 feet away, and we're gonna start here, and we're gonna see what it looks like. So Brandy, I want this light up high, firing down at an angle. Now what I'm gonna do, my camera doesn't need to be here, I'm gonna take my trigger so I can hit the test button. Gotta turn my trigger on first, that usually helps. There we go. All right, now, all right, we wanna point this directly at that flash. Tilt that up just a little bit, Brandy. So I'm gonna point this at the light, hit the test fire, and I'm at f7.0. I already know I wanna go to 8, that's what we're saying. So now on the trigger, I'm just gonna change that, and I'm gonna go up 1 stop of light on that. Hit clear. I don't know if you guys know to do that, but when you're changing power up and down, really gotta recycle that light. It's very important. So always just kind of hit a test shot. Okay, so now we've got F11, and the power setting on the light is 8.3, and I've got F11 here, okay? So now I know I can go to my camera. Brandy's gonna stay there, and now we're completely dialed in here at F11. So now I'm gonna change the camera to F11, and let's take our first test shot, see what we're looking at here. And we might have to adjust a little bit up or down depending on how the light's hitting her. Test shot 1, 2. What you guys are seeing on the screen, first shot. Hasn't been edited, hasn't been adjusted. That's the first shot. So now I can look in here and make sure everything looks good. I'm gonna look at the histogram, right, to make sure I haven't blown any highlights or shadow details. And the light hitting her is just perfect. And we've got this nice shadow that's being cast behind her. The back of the building is now darker, and we've completely changed the environment that we are in right now to make it look a completely different way. So I'd be shocked. Let me know in the comments which ones you like better. I'm gonna keep shooting before you let me know, but that first series of images is what a lot of photographers who are just using natural light, this is what happens to you when you get into this kind of environment where it's just flat light, right? There's no sunlight, there's nothing backlighting her. It's very flat, uneven lighting. It's not good, right? So our jobs as creatives is to use the tools we have available and to create something where there isn't anything sometimes. And I think Flash is that perfect tool. And how easy was that? You saw one shot after I got metered in with that Sekonic Lightmaster Pro L478D-U. After we did that, we got dialed in and we were ready to go. So all kidding aside, now I want to make some magic here with her. I'm gonna move a little bit slower with the flash, but we're gonna get something I think that looks a lot more dramatic and a lot more special in my opinion. All right, let us know in the comments. Let's keep going here. And then that right arm, pull that elbow. Yeah, give me, yes, gorgeous, Violet, right there, stunning. 1, 2, chin more right there. Here we go, 1, 2. Love that, Violet, gorgeous. Okay, let's do something different here. You wanna square up to me a little bit? All right, what are you thinking? I like that, and I want you looking off. So maybe you're looking off here, yep. Eyes back towards Alyssa maybe, right there. Brandy, you're gonna switch. Follow her nose. What if you're playing with the pearls with your hands or holding them? Yeah, I like that. So, hey, just for those of you who have an assistant or somebody that's helping you, the best thing you can do for your assistant is teach them 2 tricks here. I know this isn't part of the video, it's like bonus material. The one thing I always tell my assistants is to follow the nose, right, of our model, right? All of us have worked with people who, you've got this lighting set up in your studio, and I'm not saying Violet's guilty of this, but you put the light here, she's not guilty of it. And then they keep looking over here, even though the light's over here.
Never.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's ever happened in our studio or that we even have video proof of it, but I'm just saying sometimes they do things like that. So you always want to have your assistant know to follow the nose, right? So if you're telling the model to look here, typically you want that light rotating here, rotating there. And by doing that, you're always going to get nice even light on the face. And also something worth noting, if you remember in the beginning of the video, Brandy's about 9 feet away, right? So 3, 6, 9. She still maintained that distance, because if Brandy were closer, light's gonna be hotter. That light, now I gotta re-meter in. So I always teach my assistants to move on a crescent. So if they're here at 9 feet, I can just keep sliding around and maintain this distance, and I'm always gonna be roughly 9 feet, right? But what I don't want them doing is, if I say go to the other side, and then all of a sudden, your assistant's right here with the light, and it's gonna be too hot. It's not gonna make any sense, all right? So that's enough talking. Let me get back to it. Well, let's do something different. What else can we do here? What if it's over both your shoulders? And then with your hands, you're just kind of like this, yeah. news anchor hands. Love it. Looking towards Brandy. You got to go in that same spot. Yeah, yeah, right there. Yeah, there we go. Chin down, chin more right. Right there. Gorgeous. Here we go. 1, 2. So now what I want to do is I want to get a little greedy and I want to put you in that corner, Violet. And what I'm thinking is I want you kind of like leaning back and leaning in.
We're redoing the exact shot.
All right. All right, well, let's do it. So for this, I want a lot of angles in her body, and I want something that looks and feels like strobe. That's what we're going for here. Let me see. Chin down. Yeah, right there. Eyes on me. Right there. Okay, so for this, Brandy's probably 3, 6, 9. Right, so she's probably about 12 feet away. I'll keep her there because I want to see what the pattern looks like on the wall. And so what I'm going to do is meter this in again with the Lightmaster Pro L478D-U. All right, let's hit this. Tilt that up a lot more, Brandy. Yeah, and twist this way. Yeah, and as expected, less light. So she's at F8 here. So I'm gonna keep Brandy there. You could drop your hand for 1 second. We're gonna photograph this at F8, but I don't know what the lighting pattern's gonna look like, right? So we gotta see what that's gonna look like. Here we go, 1, 2. All right, so first test shot we got, it's the look I'm envisioning, which is that kind of direct flash light. Now you've got to realize that as you turn and look to this scene, it's got this super bright look, but she's popping off. If you look at the histogram, she's properly exposed. But what's happening is the light that's making it to her face is at F8, but the light hitting here and here is probably a little hotter. It's probably like F11, so it's looking super bright, but with her black dress, everything's popping off. So I'm gonna take 2 shots. I'm gonna take one at F8 and then take one at F11, right? And I'm not changing the power setting, just to show you 2 different looks. So let me get this one at F8, or you've seen the F8. I'm gonna take my camera to F11 just to control the exposure a little better. And even though her skin now looks right, it's darkened down the walls a little bit. So you gotta figure out which looks right for you. So even though F8 is technically what's hitting her on her chin, we are going 1 stop more or darkening it down 1 stop more. So you let me know which one you like, but let's work through this. Let's have some fun. Beautiful. Love these big wide shots too. Love that, Violet. Beautiful. Love that. And now with these walls the way they are, we can just chin down a little bit, Violet. Can really just have some fun with composition here. All right, so what am I using here? Just kind of a gear recap. FJ400 from Westcott, and on my camera I'm using the EOS R5 and the 2870 for this. The 2870 really is providing me, you saw the big dramatic shots from the previous scene, and then here it's just kind of bringing those walls in that are V'ing into her. So I just love the way that looks. Let me know in the comments which ones you like. We'll see you in the next video.